Hi friends, it's Jason, and today I wanted to talk to you about a book that I found to be a bit of a challenging read. And the one I'm talking about is The Strength of the Few, the sequel to The Will of the Many by James Islington. And this was probably one of the most anticipated reads of 2025 for a lot of people with the popularity of The Will of the Many, which I, like everyone else, absolutely loved that book. This was a bit of a challenge for me, and I'm going to say straight from the get-go, if you haven't read this yet, there will be spoilers in this video. So save this video if you haven't read it yet and come back once you have, and you can see my thoughts and my theories on where this is going. Like I said, this was a very challenging read right from the get-go because we went from one perspective, the one viz in Will of the Many with the one oppressed society by the hierarchy, and to here where it took me a while to realize what was going on. There were three vises and three worlds and three oppressed societies, and there was some interconnection somehow, some way, and for probably 7 to 10 chapters, I was so confused. I didn't know what the hell was going on. This book had me puzzled. I wasn't as invested as I was with Will and the Many, because Will and the Many I couldn't put down. Like, I was reading that from beginning to end. I was constantly going back to it. I was ignoring other things I had to do because I was so invested in that story, and it really, really grabbed me. This one, I had to work more, and it took some time for me to get into it. I did get into it. Now, I don't normally give star ratings, and I hate doing that on some of the apps, which kind of force you. And Goodreads, please hurry up and give us half-star ratings on there. My God. But this I would have given a 5. This I probably would have given a 4. And there were reasons for that. One, because there were parts of the book that I didn't care about. There were characters that were a little underdeveloped, which I understood. What Islington has done is he kept Viz's personality and what drove him and all of those things. He's still a badass in 3 separate worlds, and he's done this all in the same book. So that in itself is really impressive. But it's from time to time, it can disconnect you a little bit because you are in 3 different worlds and you're with the same character but not the same main character. So it can be a little jarring to your brain sometimes, especially if you're not paying attention to the chapter headers at the top, which kind of indicate which world that you're going into. If you haven't noticed that in the book, it does kind of give you an indication of whether you're in Res, Lucium, or Obidium. And like I said, I'm going to butcher these names throughout this entire video, so just please bear with me. And the 3 worlds, you can tell that they're based on Res is Roman, obviously. Obidium is Egyptian, and Lucium, or Lucium, some people are calling it. I called it Lucium when I was reading it in my brain. Is kind of Celtic, and it was a very ambitious undertaking by James Islington to do these 3 different worlds. It almost could have been 3 books with these 3 separate worlds if he'd dove into each world and developed each world even more, he probably could have produced 3 separate books from each one of these worlds and then carried us on into the joining of the 3. Now, one thing I wanted to say was, and I'm looking at some notes here that I made just so that I can keep this all straight. I didn't care about all of the Vizes or all of the worlds. Obidium, I found myself, when we came to that world, I just wanted to get back to the other 2. Lucium, I really enjoyed. Rez is the main part of the story, which, you know, I wanted to be there, but Lucium was cool. The Celtic and the Druids and all of that was really interesting. But Obidium, the whole Egyptian thing and the Gleaners and the pyramid and Netriquet, and it didn't interest me. And one of the things that bothered me was that Viz seemed to understand a lot more that was going on than was really written into the story. He instantly understood things, and that kind of bothered me. I know he was getting new powers and working out new abilities and things like that, but it bothered me a little bit that he kind of instantly knew how to do things. And but that's neither here nor there. Obidium just didn't appeal to me that much, and that's okay. It may appeal to you, but that was one that didn't appeal to me. I liked the other 2 worlds much, much better. Now, the angry, pissed off Viz in Rez, when, you know, he creates the metal arm out of all of these little metal triangles, and he creates the mask, and he's got these triangles that he can throw out and kill people with, and I'm like, and he's starting to really develop into an interesting character, and a little bit of that I found was missing from the other 2 worlds, simply because we've had this Viz for 2 books now in Rez, and his character has developed enough that he's starting to really have an interesting personality, whereas in Lucium and Obidium, he doesn't have that growth yet. And we haven't really caught him up to that point. He's getting there in Lucium, and Obidium just kind of stumbles around the pyramid for the whole book, and I didn't really like. He could have been in 2 worlds, and I would have been happy. But I know there's going to be a connection that needs to be made between the 3 worlds. So I know that's a plot device. I know it's there for a reason. So that's neither here nor there. I really liked Viz as, is it Carnivax or something like that? That mysterious character, but I wish that Islington had expanded on that a little bit more, had some more interactions with him as that character, and he may in the future, in future books. Now, I've read that this is either 3 books or 4 books. I think it's going to be 4. Some say that Islington has said in an interview that this will be 4 books. So, oh my God, we're going to be reading this for 4 more years. But I definitely will have to do a reread prior to book 3 for book 1 and book 2, because that'll be 4 years before we get, you know, from book 1 to book 3. So now I want to move on to some things that I was thinking. A lot of the new characters didn't get a lot of character development, and I understood that because this was already an almost 700 page book, and easily could have been a 1,000-page book if we got more development of some of these characters. Now, I did like, and I'm going to say it wrong, Relucia. I liked how Viz kind of just said, nope, you're done. And then to Alsacor and Aquea, said that, nothing happened. Didn't see her, whatever, but he basically left her for dead, which was kind of cool. Overall, the book didn't land as solidly. I wasn't as excited at the end. Mind you, Hail Viz at the end. Whew. Okay, I knew that was kind of expecting that was to come, but I wasn't as, oh my God, this was so good, as I was at the end of The Will of the Many. Now, I kind of felt like this was a setup book for book 3 and maybe book 4, that he was lining up a lot of pieces in place to go to the next bit of the story. That's kind of the feeling I was getting throughout. He was moving this over here and lining this up over here and getting this group fighting over here, and I could kind of see that happening. But I just want to move on to some of my theories that I had as I read this, and you guys let me know in the comments down below if you think I'm on the right track with any of these. Let me know any of your theories down below. I'd be very curious to hear what you think. The first one I had is about Karor. Now, some people are calling him Saror or something like that, but I called him Karor in the book. There's something fishy about that guy. I don't completely trust him. I don't think he's trustworthy, and I think Viz is putting too much trust in him. I really don't think that he should be. There's just something too fishy about Karor that I don't like. There's something else there. I could be wrong, but there's a red flag going off in my brain. We're missing something about Ka. There's something that's not being explained to us that I think we need more clarity on. Like, for example, in Obidium, it was kind of brushed over really quickly where Viz found those 2 weapons that he was using. There was a sarcophagus underwater, but then Ka was upstairs on a pedestal asleep in the pyramid. They brush past that really fast, and I think there's more to that. And I don't think that's another thing that I have a feeling the Ka that we're seeing, I don't think is actually Ka. And that'll lead me to another point in a minute. But one of the things that I found interesting was when Viz in Res felt the pain in his chest when the Gleaner stabbed Viz in Obidium, and that probably shouldn't have happened if they're 3 separate things. So are they somehow linked? Are they going to reassemble, reconnect, something along those lines in future books? I don't know. It's just the gears are turning. One other thing that I wanted to talk about was, I think his name is Ostius. Is he actually Ka? Maybe. I don't know. What leads me to that is he's kind of popping up all over the place, and he has the ability to travel between these worlds, and he's the only one that's been presented so far to have the ability to do that. So that's interesting, and like I said, he's the only one with that power. So could he be Ka, and he's just kind of moving all these chess pieces around and playing everybody off against each other and playing a game? I I don't know, but that was one of the other theories that I had. Overall, I don't want you to get the impression that I didn't like this book. I very much did like this book. It didn't grab me in the same way that The Will of the Many did, but I did still very much enjoy this. And I also want to say thank you to Saga Press for this cover. You listen to the fans. I appreciate that greatly. I absolutely hate the new covers. These are fabulous. I don't know why you ever changed them. I think these are fantastic. They go together very well. The one thing I have an issue with is hierarchy on the spine is spelt wrong. So that's a little bizarre. I don't know how that was missed, or if it was intentional. Who knows? I don't know. But I really appreciate you doing this cover so that people didn't have to change their first book, buy a new one for their collection. Really appreciate that from a publisher. Having the reversible cover. But tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about my theories down below. Let me know what you thought of Strength of the Few and where it's going to go from here. And I'll see you again next time.